Hi and welcome to another narration presented by yours truly, Cryptids Roost. Please be so kind as to throat punch the like button and smack the ass of the subscription button as well. And remember to tap that notification bell and then select all. That way you'll receive all notifications each time I upload a new video. So grab your coffee, sit back and enjoy the show. And don't forget, where fear is, happiness is not. A survivor's account of the Depraved Funhouse, The Balloon, Part 1. This awesome series is written by Corpse Child. Let me begin this by saying that I share my story with you all purely by order of my psychiatrists. They labour under this delusion that reaching out to others about everything that happened to me might provide me with some form of catharsis. Personally, I'm more inclined to believe that it's because they know I've not been taking my sleeping pills at lights out. I've tried explaining to them why. I can't stand to see their faces. The nightmares are always the same. They surround me with their pasty, complexionless faces with bright crimson face paint on their wide eyes open with no lids and their split open grins carved from ear to ear. They just stand there giggling and asking me, "Would you like a balloon?" I suppose that's where my story should truly begin, with one innocent question, or rather, the reason that question now haunts me in my sleep. Happy World. Happy World, home of everlasting smiles. That was their tagline. Unfortunately, it was far too fitting for those who weren't lucky enough to ever get out of the place. Those like my best friend, Derek Cromwell. I still remember those earlier days. I met Derek when I was 12 years old. Me and my folks moved down here to Tennessee from New York after my father lost his job there as a car salesman. I remember back thinking how quiet it was compared to the urban chaos I'd grown up in previously. I mean, I wasn't popular among peers or anything. I did have a few buds back at the Big Apple that I wouldn't be able to talk to anymore. As could have been expected, Mum always hit me with the classic, "You'll make new friends, honey. Just you wait and see" line every time I protested. In retrospect, she was correct. Only 2 weeks after we moved here, there I was, standing in the Blockbuster Video, located only miles walking distance from my new neighbourhood. I know, talk about convenience, right? When I ran right into him. He was about 1/4 of a foot taller than me, with broad shoulders and jet black hair. "Oh, sorry," I said, hoping to just subtly bail without being noticed. I tried to just backpedal over to where PlayStation games were. After all, I was there looking for Resident Evil 2 at the time. That's when he spoke up. "Oh shit, didn't see you there, man." I kinda smiled and just said, "Nah, it's cool." He smiled and went back to staring at the shelves in front of him. "No way! They're in town next month." Confused, I snapped my head in his direction and saw that he was looking at a poster. I walked over and looked at the poster he was looking at, seeing a big ass red grin staring back at me. Everlasting smiles. Christ. "What's up?" I asked him. "Happy World, dude." I just stared at him, eyebrows cocked in confusion. "You've never heard of Happy World?" He gasped in exaggerated shock, his eyes bulging out of their sockets at me, an image that haunts me every time I hear the word balloon. I just shook my head at him, feeling the overwhelming compulsion to run for the exit. "Heh, sorry man, I'm new here," piped up, apparently already knowing how I could have possibly lived ignorant of what Happy World was. With all the excitement you'd expect to see from a 13-year-old hopped up on too much caffeine, Derek then spends the next 10 minutes explaining that Happy World was this funhouse attraction that'll open up every once in a blue moon and stays open for about a month or so before randomly closing down and basically vanishing. Naturally, I asked him what he meant by vanishing. For a moment, he just stared at me the way a deer stares at headlights just before it gets run over. God damn it, why did I have to think of that analogy? Too real. before shrugging his shoulders. Dunno, dude, they're just there one day, and about a month later, they're just gone. Building would be closed down and everything. It'll look like no one or nothing was ever there to begin with. He then went on to tell me about the different clowns that would perform tricks and stuff. I just nodded my head as he went on, my attention fixed primarily on the creepy-ass clown face smiling back at me on the poster. I remember how it kinda made me shudder looking at it. Thing was, back then I had no problem with clowns. Hell, every year for spring break, Ma would take me to see Greatest Show on Earth when they came to town. But something about this particular clown poster just didn't sit right. The face had bright red teardrop-shaped designs around the eyes, with long red lines connecting to the corners of its cartoonishly wide red lips. The eyes were pitch dark, only two tiny white dots in the centre giving them any pronunciation. Below the clown face were the words, "Happy World, home of everlasting smiles, coming June 5th. I wonder if he'll ever come out this time." His words finally jolted my focus away from the poster. Who? The amazing Belair. He's their leader, or at least that's what they tell us. What does he do? Derek looked at me, mirroring my own clueless expression, and shrugged. I dunno, I've never actually seen him. In fact, I don't think anybody has. How do you know he's real? I asked him. Good question, he said with a chuckle. Maybe he's like an animatronic, like at Chuck E. Cheese, he quipped. This time I laughed. Or maybe he's a ghost, I chimed in, making my eyes go wide and making fake ghost sounds. Should have said he was the devil himself, that would have been more accurate. He started busting a gut at this. The kid behind the register, an older high school dropout whose face was so gaunt and pasty looking that he might well have been a ghost himself, told us to quiet down, apparently having disturbed his nap. Sorry man, we'll take it outside, Derek said with a careless grin plastered all over his face. Whatever, the kid behind the register groaned, rolling his eyes before dropping his head back down into his folded arms on the counter, letting his long black lion's mane hair fall down and cover his folded arms. Yeah, go back to your paid beauty nap, jackass, I remember thinking with a smirk. We left the store and started walking down the sidewalk, laughing like the goofball kids we were. He told me some of the theories his friends had about the amazing Belair, like the one about him having 3 eyes and able to tell your future, and other outlandish ideas like that. We just went on walking and talking like this for about another half an hour before I figured I should start heading back home. Hey, wait, he exclaimed, putting his hand on my shoulder. What's your name, new kid? Oh, Linus Davis. I'm Derek. Nice to meet you, Linus. He held out his hand. I told him it was nice to meet him and shook his hand. You're pretty cool, Linus. I hope we can hang out some more. And I grinned and said, me too, before parting ways and heading home. On the way home, I thought about one thing. Happy World. I won't lie, despite the fact that I was too old to be into that kind of shit, I was intrigued. The next day I decided to walk to the Blockbuster video again on the off chance he might frequent the place. I wanted to ask him more about Happy World, like were there age restrictions, what were the other clowns like, and so on. Sure enough, there he was, along with 2 of his buddies. They didn't seem to notice me, so I was able to listen to the latter half of their conversation about what else but the creepy clown poster. So, are you guys planning on going? Derek asked the kid on his left, a short lanky boy with curly bright orange hair and glasses. Can't. Folks are out of town for a business trip. The kid winked and nudged Derek's arm before taking a swig of his surge. Okay, Ray's out. What about you, Corey? He asked the kid on his right, a tall pudgy kid with a brunette mullet wearing a leather black vest over his Danzig t-shirt. I dunno. Don't you think that routine's getting kinda old? What do you mean? Don't you want to finally see him? The amazing Belair? I dunno, man. We keep going and we never find him. Got a point, dude, Ray chimed in. I'm honestly kinda wondering if maybe he's just a fad that the clowns shove in our faces to get us to come back. But what about all our stories? Don't you guys finally see if they are true? Derek whined, looking absolutely betrayed. They were cool legends, man. But maybe we should just leave it at that. Cool legends, Corey said. Derek hung his head down dejectedly. Damn, all out of surge. Derek, can I borrow $1? I watched as Derek suddenly shuffled around in his pockets and hesitantly handed his friend a crumpled up bill. Appreciate it, dude. I'll see you guys tomorrow, Ray said as he headed out the door. Wait up, I'm right behind you. Later, Derek, Corey said as he followed Ray, leaving Derek standing alone in front of the poster. Yeah, see you around, I guess, I heard him mutter disappointedly. I decided then to try talking to him. Hey man! He lifted his head to see me, his face now regaining some of its lost optimism. Oh hey dude! I didn't know you were here. Oh, I just got here a minute ago, I lied. I wanted to talk to you more about Happy World actually. Figures. I was just talking to me buds about going there in 3 weeks, he said as he pointed to the poster, chuckling at the irony. They both flaked on me though. And to think, after all the times we spent wondering about the mysteries, Derek let out a dejected sigh. Why don't I go with you? The words jumped from my mouth before I even realised what I'd said. Derek's eyes went wide. I could see the excitement mould into his face. You mean it? For a moment I stayed quiet, thinking, did I mean it? Well yeah, why not? I said with a careless smirk, shrugging my shoulders. I've got nothing better to do, and I'm curious to see what the amazing Bel Air is like. They used to tell me all the time that curiosity killed the cat. I wish I'd listened, because common sense wouldn't bring my ignorant ass back. Derek's face blasted the biggest smile I'd ever seen and shouted, Hell yeah! Up top! Holding his hand up to gesture a high five. I smiled and returned the high five, the loud clap resonating so loud that it woke the kid behind the counter again. We walked home together that day, sharing more outlandish theories about Happy World and its mysterious ringmaster. When we got to my house, my mum was on the porch watering her daisies. There you are, Linus. Go wash up. It's almost supper time. She looked over to Derek. Who's this? Before I could do or say anything, Derek piped up. Derek Cromwell. Nice to meet you, ma'am. He thrusted his arm outward to shake her hand. Such a gentleman. It's nice to meet you too, Derek, Mum chuckled as she shook his hand. Well, I'd better head home before my folks get worried, he said, holding up his hand to me for a high five. Tomorrow, same time, same place. I returned his high five, going in for a hug, and replied with, You bet your ass. Language, Mum scolded. I gave her the stereotypical oopsie-daisy smile and equally awkward as hell chuckle. She just smirked amusedly and rolled her eyes, telling me to head inside and get ready for supper. I still remember it was a homemade calzone night, my favourite. I missed Ma's homemade calzones. They don't have anything like it in the cafeteria here at the Wacky Shack. See you later, dude, I shouted to him as I went inside. At dinner, I decided to ask my folks if they knew anything about Happy World. I don't believe I saw anything about that when I scouted the area, Dad said with a ponderous expression on his face before taking a huge bite out of his calzone, some of the cheese and sauce hanging off of his lips. Ma's calzones were the best, extra gooey cheese and overloaded with marinara. As he wiped his mouth with his napkin, he chuckled and said, Then again, I didn't exactly pick this area based on its tourist attractions. Mum smiled at the joke and sipped her drink. Well, there's a poster for it at the Blockbuster where I hung out with Derek, and he said it's this cool funhouse that's coming to town in 3 weeks, and I thought it'd be fun to check it out. He said it disappears randomly, and there's a mysterious clown nobody's ever seen before. Dad paused for a minute before saying, That sounds cool and all, son, but we have to keep an eye on our money. and I'm almost willing to bet it ain't cheap to get in. My heart dropped in all my excitement. I didn't even bother asking Derek about the price of admission. My head slumped down pitifully, wanting to plead my case, but realising that it'd be a futile effort. That's when Ma, wearing that sly grin all mothers have when they've concocted an idea, piped up. I know, why don't you go round the neighbourhood tomorrow and see if any of the neighbours would be willing to kick you a few bucks for some manual labour? I looked up at Dad, who nodded over to Ma and shrugged his shoulders. In all honesty, it didn't seem like a half-bad idea to me. Yeah, guess it couldn't hurt, I replied nonchalantly, shrugging my shoulders to try and play it cool, despite the fact that I was just happy to have a plausible suggestion. Sleep on it, Ma said with a wink, silently calling bullshit on my obvious facade. Of course, I'd already made up my mind before going to sleep that night. Whatever it took, I was going to earn the money to get into Happy World. Little did I know that the true price was blood, not cash. Early the next morning, I quickly jumped out of bed, got dressed, grabbed a blueberry Pop-Tart and headed out to look for work. It went like that for the next 3 weeks. Extra routine, wake up, throw clothes on, scarf down Pop-Tart, go cut grass or clean gutters till sundown and collect pay, head home, eat supper, and finally hit the sack for the night. Rinse and repeat. I was a little bummed that I couldn't spend time with Derek, but I knew it'd be damn well worth it when me and him could finally go to Happy World together and be the first to see the amazing Bel Air. I wished to God more than anything that I could have those 3 weeks back. By the time June 5th rolled around, I'd managed to accrue $350 in cash, which might as well have been a fortune to my adolescent mind. Surely this would be enough, I told myself, looking at the fat bundle of bills in my hand. I remember being so excited that morning that as soon as my eyes opened, I bounded out of my room and down the stairs to wake my parents. Ma! Dad! Wake up! I remember shouting at them, shaking them until they stirred awake, groaning. What time is it? Dad whined, shielding his eyes from the early morning sunlight from the window. Linus, honey, it's too early. I just stood there looking at her with pleading eyes, unable to contain my excitement. All right, go on and get dressed, she said with my warm smile, despite the fact that she was still half asleep. Fucking A! I shouted, forgetting that my parents were still present. Language! Ma groaned, reprimandingly. Right, sorry, I apologised with that all too familiar, awkward-ass chuckle. Ma just smirked again, rolling her eyes before telling me, go on, have fun, be safe, I love you. But I was already bounding out of their room and into mine. I should have said, I love you too. Wherever she is now, I hope she knows that I love her and miss her so much. I threw on a t-shirt and jeans before making a pit stop to the kitchen for a Pop-Tart on the go. I thought for a moment and decided to grab a second pack for Derek. It would be his last meal. Before sprinting out to the front door and up to the Blockbusters, hoping I'd meet Derek there. Where have you been? Derek exclaimed as soon as he saw me. Sure enough, he was there, standing outside of the Blockbuster video. Hey, listen man, I'm sorry we couldn't hang out. I've been busy trying to earn money for Happy World. He just smiled and pulled me into a giant bear hug. I returned with a bear hug of my own as he said, heck, none of that matters now, I'm just happy you made it. Just then, this girl who looked around my age came walking out of the Blockbusters. She had long, jet black hair, just like Derek's, and was wearing a green and white striped halter top with low-cut jean shorts. I remember looking into her oceanic blue eyes and instantly started to blush. Damn, she's hot, I remember thinking to myself as she strutted over to Derek, her hips swaying with every step. So, you ready to go or what? She asked Derek, not seeming to have noticed me. Yeah, but first... Derek then looked at me and said, Linus, this is my younger sister, Lisa. She looked at me, and the left corner of her lips parted up into a sly grin, like she knew I was crushing on her. Hey, I'm Linus, I said, trying not to make it quite so obvious and failing. She snickered, even letting out a little pig snort that I thought was adorable, before replying with, I'm Lisa, this Dork Lord's sister. That made me laugh, and Derek, with that careless grin I've always remembered him for, or at least fondly remembered him for, just rolled his eyes and retorted with, yeah, okay, chowderhead. Laugh it up. Now what we say we hit up Happy World? Hell yeah! I shouted as me and Derek went in for a high five. Oh, I almost forgot, I said, pulling out the pack of Pop-Tarts I reserved for him. I didn't know if you'd eaten already, so I brought you a pack. He took the pack of Pop-Tarts and his smile went from laid back to excited, like I'd just given him $100. Awesome, dude! I fucking love blueberry! Derek exclaimed. Great minds think alike, I suppose, I said with a shrug. See, Chowderhead, he's got good taste, he remarked to Lisa. With a sarcastic smirk, she rolled her eyes and snickered before playfully telling Derek to shut up. Me and Derek just grinned as he piped up, shouting, Happy World! Here we come! As we started making our way to the proclaimed home of everlasting smiles. So, where is Happy World anyway? I asked Derek about an hour into the walk. As if by fate, or an omen, we were there, face to face, with the entrance. Don't forget, if you enjoyed that story, be sure to pop over to the author's Reddit profile and drop them a line, or even give them a glowing review. I'm sure they really would appreciate it. The link to their Reddit profile will be below in the description. Please be so kind as to throat punch the like button and smack the ass of the subscription button as well. And remember to tap the notification bell and then select all. That way you'll receive all notifications each time I upload a new video. Oh, and don't forget to share the video far and wide. This will all help with YouTube's algorithm and will help to promote this channel more. And don't forget to check out the merch store. The link will be in the description and also in the video thumbnail. And if you would like an honourable mention, send in a snapshot of yourself with your purchase and I'll feature it in one of the videos. I now have my very own subreddit community where you can submit any stories you've written. You can submit your stories or encounters either there or send them to cryptidsroost@gmail.com. If you wish to remain anonymous, that's fine with me. All the links are below. I also have a Facebook group, Twitter, Reddit, and you'll also find me on Discord. If you would like to support this channel and help make it grow, my PayPal is paypal.me/cryptidsroost. Again, that will also be below. And don't forget, where fear is, happiness is not.